given the rain, we may be having a lot more people show up over time as opposed to early, since this is LA and it's rain, and that's always a challenge. Anyway, I'm very pleased to be able to start this program and introduce the people on the first panel here. This is especially of moment and excitement for us because today we have a series of academic panels with top scholars from around the world in Olympic studies and Olympics research. And so we're going to begin with a first panel. There is lunch out and available for you if you should desire and didn't buy your own. And the first panel will go till about 1:30, 1:45, at which point we'll have about a 15-minute break before the second panel so that they can bring in coffee and refreshments and some other things in here. So you can get caffeinated up for the day by staying around here long enough. And then we will have two more panel discussions this afternoon. Just to mention those right now, and then we'll come back to this one. At 2 o'clock, we'll have a panel discussion on the Olympics and international diplomacy with the head of our director of our Masters of Public Diplomacy program here, Barry Sanders, and Susan Brownell, who is from the University of Missouri, one of the top scholars in the country on international diplomacy and issues involving the Olympics. At 3 o'clock, no, it's supposed to be 3:30. It should be 3:30 on that list. Boy, this is typo city here. We will have a panel with John Hoberman and William Morgan. William Morgan is the gentleman to my left. Taj Fraser will be the moderator of that panel, and it will be a discussion of a variety of issues involving issues of nationalism, doping, and other things involving the Olympics and the Olympics movement. So it should be a very interesting panel. Also, if you hadn't heard, and if you haven't heard, you haven't been listening, this evening, the president of the IOC, Jacques Roque, and the CEO of the USOC, Scott Blackman, will be on stage, probably not together, they'll be one following the other, at USC's Town and Gown, and they will be discussing issues concerning the Olympics today. That will be a major event for USC and one that you won't want to miss. Finally, a couple of quick introductions. I wanted to introduce our Dean, Ernest Wilson, the Dean of the Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism, who's joined us here today, and I want to thank him for being here to sit in on and hear this panel. Also, Geneva Oberholzer, the director of the School of Journalism here, and actually, Marty Kaplan from the Lear Center is sneaking in behind me. I almost so many that I can't see. But anyway, we're really pleased to have everyone here. This discussion is going to be some perspectives on communication strategies of the International Olympic Committee. Bill Morgan will be moderating this panel, and I'm going to leave it to him to introduce the panel members and take over for the rest of this period. And I will sit here and listen and grow a little wiser.
Why don't you do that and I'll eat your lunch?
It's my lunch.
We're all set. Dan's given you the topic for today. I'm Bill Morgan from USC. And we have two distinguished speakers with us today. Françoise Papa from the University of Grenoble. She teaches the Institute of Communication and Journalism, and she tells me it's one of the 12 national schools of journalism in the country. And then she will be followed by Emilio Pina from the University Autonomous in Barcelona, who is also in communication and director of the Center of Olympic Studies. So it's our great pleasure to begin with.
Hey. Well, I'm very, very pleased to be here and to meet colleagues and to meet students too, because, often when we go abroad, we only have the opportunity to present our paper. It lasts 15 minutes and that's all. And I like this format. It's very, very nice. So I prepared a communication which is divided into 3 parts, but I don't think I will have time enough to talk about these 3 parts. So I will focus on some points of each chapter of the presentation, because I don't know what is your knowledge about Olympic communication. So in case, I can come back to some points if it's necessary during the debate. So the first part is dedicated to a kind of state of art in broadcasting the games. And 3 points I would like to stress on it. The first one is the hubs of communication, which replace TV as the main channel for disseminating the games. The second one is how we can, as an organization, as the Olympic Committee International, can fit with evolution of social uses of ICT, because it changes the rules. And the third one was about the Vancouver experience, which was really interesting, considering the social uses of media and social network sites. So if you don't mind, I will just stress 2 or 3 points here and then go ahead. So the first thing to know is that television is no longer the dominant media. Well, it's always a leading media, but websites and social media are now very important in the policy of dissemination of the games. Before, TV channels were negotiating the rights to broadcast the games on a territorial basis, and they kept the control. They kept the control over that dissemination. And for the organizers, it was also possible to control the production of the signal and to control the resources they get from the TV rights. And with digital technologies, of course, it's very different. The audience of websites is more elusive, and we cannot convert this in financial terms directly. And the control of dissemination of images is a real problem for the organizers. So the first thing the IOC did is to create its official websites. These websites had, at the beginning, very limited functionalities, and they were generally coupled with a system of results and things like that, but they never allowed to broadcast images. And TV right holders at that moment cannot provide online distribution of Olympic signal. The strategy was to, this is for example, one Olympic channel with YouTube. TV right holders cannot so provide online images of the games, and the aim was to contain the dissemination of images because they could not technically control this. And the problem was in France and probably in Spain too, well, in Europe, that new agents coming from telecommunication, pure players on the web, were beginning to emerge as a power to intervene in the dissemination of the games. And technologies also was more efficient. There was strategy of dissemination of information that were held by TV mainstream channels, and new devices and new patterns of communications emerges rapidly. The question was in France, this is some examples of these devices which were set up progressively by the Olympics organizations. This is for the Youth Olympic Games in the first Youth Olympic Games in Singapore. These devices and these partners were supposed to give a good answer to the problem of fragmentation of audiences. This is an example with the YOG community. And in France, it's the France Télécom, which was an historical telecommunication company, had made agreements with the TV channels to create new TV on the web channels dedicated to sports. At European level, but maybe Emilio will talk about that, the YIBU was the unique interlocutor of the IOC for broadcasting the games since the beginning of the TV broadcast of the games. And there was a change in European policy, and progressively the negotiation was held not between the YIBU and the IOC, but with channels in each country. And for example, during the next round of negotiation, IOC Executive Board member with Thomas Bach has negotiated the rights with directly national channels And this means that there is a shift which is occurring between a TV domination to the multimedia, multi-channel, and platform of communication organization to broadcast the games. I would like to quote Thomas Bach about the allocation of broadcasting rights for the Olympics in 2014 and 2016 to French media. He was explaining that until now the IOC negotiated broadcast rights on a pan-European basis. However, the rapidly changing media landscape, we had to adapt our approach in recent years by negotiating directly in some markets. And that's why France Télévisions acquired the rights. So there is a real big difference between the 80s, 90s, and now in the negotiation of the rights. And this is an important point. The IOC decided to adapt to this new rules and create its own channels. And it began with Sydney, but it was not very important. Then it was confirmed in Athens and in Torino Games. And the Beijing Games are considered really the first games with a fully developed potential of the Internet. And in Beijing, the emphasis was on the official websites, and agreement with YouTube has completed the media coverage. Then in Vancouver, the coverage of the game was extended. There were dedicated platforms, mobile coverage, external broadcast channels, and a mashup with the official platforms. With the devices of different rights holders, you can connect directly on the platforms and have your own national TV channel. And with the Youth Olympic Games, there is a new media-centric broadcast with specific platforms for communities and youngsters, people. So this is one idea of the evolution of the devices set up by the IOCs. So we have IOC has to face this problem of the evolution of social use of ICTs with a shift of paradigm in communication patterns. And I will refer to the definition of Manuel Castells, with stressing on the fact that it's necessary to take into account the articulation of all forms of communication into a composite interactive digital hypertext that includes, mixes, and recombines the whole range of cultural expression conveyed by human interaction. And this shift of paradigm is congruent with the development of social uses in network society. There are some figures which illustrates this development of social uses of ICTs. And the study that Emilio conducted presents a comprehensive overview of the uses of social media as part of the global media events for the IOC. I think you will talk about it after. And now it's a fact that everywhere in the world is using social media much more than it was the case 10 years ago. So the Olympic organizations have to take into account these new social uses. So I can give you more figures about how many people use Facebook and so on, but I know you know this very well. So thanks to this new organization, the games are now better broadcasted because there is an extension of the media coverage of the games and diversification of broadcasters. They are more accessible and long after, so we can reduce time constraints and get the contents many different times, and they are closer to the audiences. This is the really important thing. And I give you, as example, some quotations of the official reports of the IOC since the Beijing Games, and especially during the Vancouver experience. And CTV was in charge of broadcasting the game for Canada, has a very good analysis of the importance of interaction and the necessity to provide for right broadcast of new devices in order to better participate to the games. These are some examples of the importance of these new devices. During the Vancouver Games, the communication strategy of the organizers was very interesting because they tried to articulate what was the official website and all the social websites around the event. And they have a special organization in the city of Vancouver in order to let the people participate to the game, even though they couldn't attend the game directly on the venues. And they tried to link the Olympic event to all the events that were performed in the city, in the public space. And this was a real interesting organization. And they were relying on the Vancouver210.com website, was a kind of flagship. And when they made the bilan of the media coverage, they agreed to say that this was a very good opportunity to disseminate the games and to disseminate the values of Olympism. The visitors was very numerous, and also on mobile version of the websites, and in Canada it was very, very popular. The point is also that as they anchored this website to many other social network sites, it was a good solution to share the events on the web. And they noticed an increasing number of fans on the Facebook page of the Olympics, a lot of followers on Twitter, and of course many people which were downloading videos of the games. So the question is, considering this landscape, does this implies structural changes in the communication of IOC and Olympic members? The problem is that there are some contradictions between these social media uses and the economy of the Olympic organization manifestation. And this is the main problem. First, they have to ensure exclusivity. And even though the economic of broadcasting rights or sporting events is evolving due to the increasing importance of web and media on the web, a new balance must be found so that requirements of broad dissemination of the Olympics and of funding will converge in a context where the implementation of the principle of exclusivity is really more complex and where stakeholders are more diverse. So this is a diagram I found on WIPO, World International Property Organization. This is a UN agency. And WIPO is now preparing a treaty for protection of broadcasting signals. And there is a group of experts working on these topics, and they're trying to write the draft of the treaty. And one point they stressed on is how to ensure exclusivity or to protect the rights when the signal is digitized. And we can see here with this diagram that at many stages you have problems for controlling and protecting the rights. And the study points that the fact that it's difficult to evaluate the effects of a good protection. I would like to quote them. There is no way to effectively project the overall effects of unauthorized use or to evaluate the benefits in financial terms that would produce a more protective regulation. So people or organizations want to protect, but we don't know at a global scale what could be the effect of such protections. There are too many variables remain unknown, including the existence of infrastructures and services, the volume, the investment volume to expect of broadcasters, service prices, local demand, effectiveness of enforcement measures, etc. So this partly explains the difficulty to assess, especially on internet, the impact of investments. And for the IOC, this explains to the difficulty to ensure exclusivity because also technical limitations are not really efficient. And even you go to prosecute people who do not respect these rules, it's very difficult to, well, it's a lot of money and time to achieve that. So the problem is that second point, well, maybe I have to go there. Yes, it's to ensure access to all to the Olympics. This is another problem. We are now in a frame of competition, and competition will lead to assign broadcasting rights to the highest bidder. But this is a factor of instability for broadcasters or uncertainty. They have to pay a lot, but they don't know if they will have their money back in long-term periods. So sometimes people do not compete, and for the public this can result in restrictive access to the content, reduce the volume of broadcast events, and a lack of stable relationship with the event. So this is also a problem. If you change every 4 years the channels or the TV or the telecom company to whom you give the right to broadcast the games, you have a lack of continuity and of course maybe a lack of quality. And another point is to maintain a high standard in media coverage of the event. And if you can enroll in a long time, you can also affect the quality because media coverage is very complex. And it requires expertise, and you only have expertise if you have time to get it, and you have to transfer it. So this is another problem also. A few words about maybe the way to experience the events. The expectations of audience are really more and more diverse. We want online, free, and we also want to go back to competitions. We want video on demand. We want possibility to interact and so on. So platforms of communication must meet all these demands. This is, for example, the platform of communication for the Paralympics held by France Télévisions. And you can see here that you can have direct videos. And for instance, Channel 1, it's ski. But you also have emission and VOD, video on demand, if you want to. And this is the platform in Vancouver Games. And you see, they try to answer all these, to give a good range of uses through this platform. And this platform is really connected with this one visually. The France Télévisions platform is an extension, in a way, of the official platform. So there is a good interactivity between the two devices, and people can have many activities. They can go on the code program. This is a cultural program. Watch TV, official signal, or have results. Some features about athletes and so on. So all these platforms try to give a good answer to this problem of how to give a good answer to expectation of audience. The other thing is that there is a huge rise of individualization in consuming information and images, and people can make their own choice in what they want to see, or if they prefer to watch this event rather than the other. And this has consequences on the way you receive the games and the image of the games and the representation of the games, which are more fragmented. And this is the French website, television website for the Paralympics. And as you can see here, it was talking about the first gold medal in France. Of course, the same day, at the same moment, Canadian TV was about the Olympics completely different. And this is a community which is more important for Canadian CTV or RDS websites. And of course, it's okay. So even though there are differences between the way you access to the event from France or from Canada, you can even have more differences if you go through the event with the media sites which are not broadcasters, official broadcasters, like L'Équipe en France or sport.com, which is the website of the Le Monde print newspaper. You see here that the Olympics are not really the most important thing. And you have only a little part of the information dedicated to the Olympic on the site L'Équipe. And on the site Le Monde, it's only a press news, brève, what we call a brève en français, that is a short story about the event. And so the way you receive the event is completely different with the web, because you don't have the same thing at the same moment. And of course on TV, this is not the case. So what is at stake is the capacity to realize the recreation of a global vision of the games, and to master the contents for the organizing committees. And the mastery of content production and how the messages can be appropriated by audience is really important, because it's at the same moment a question about how to construct a common meaning through the way you receive it by the media. And this is a quotation of Manuel Castell's work, stressing on the relationship between power, media, and how this relation has shaped and decided the communication field. And this is one explanation of the fact that communication is really a very important way for the IOC to manage the community. So the question is now, we have the choice between going on the old pattern of communication, that is a top-down communication, vertical pattern, or try to include new ways to communicate through social networks, and what the IOC, how the IOC can manage these two patterns of communication. The communication strategy of the IOC is serving very different missions, and this is one aspect of the complexity of the task and of the scope of the task. But usually, through their communication devices during the games, the most important thing for the IOC is to have the control on communication. And all the communication devices that are set up during the games, for example, are designed to control the content and to control the modalities of communication. And this means that the communication contents are framed, filtered, and of course they do not always meet the expectation of the audience. And often people prefer to develop their own communication channel. And the persistence of a top-down communication pattern is noticeable in the fact that all these devices are considered first as additional channels to disseminate information. And when you analyze the content of Olympic social network sites, you can see that they are mainly used by the IOC for this dissemination, and they come to broadcast their press releases or corporate communication, but not to give room for people expression. And the second point is that they secure the contents and they preserve the initiatives of topics of discussion and the control of messages. So in Olympic social media, all the contributions are initiated and driven by the IOC. And the third point is that they set up specific guidelines and rules for participants and accredited persons during the games. So even though you're, for instance, a journalist or an athlete or a volunteer, if you want to blog or if you want to have your own channel of expression, you have to enroll in these guidelines. And so they try also to maintain a control on the communication, even though if it's not in our own channels of communication. So there is a contradiction between the way usually people communicate through social network sites and this top-down communication pattern of the IOC. The second point is that the strategy of IOC is to saturate, or let's say occupy the web. They segmented the use, they targeted the audience, and they try to be everywhere, on every range of use and kind of channel. And this occupation of the web, of the space of the web, of course, is efficient. And the aim is for the IOC to appear as a leader on the net about all is about Olympics. So they have very good technical teams, and they always they are blogging, they are sending messages on for instance, on Facebook, on Twitter, and so on, and they try to really occupy and saturate the space of the web. But the problem is that, once again, this is not the right way to take into account people's contribution to the games. So the question becomes now, this is an example of some Olympic websites. You have the official IOC, then the Twitter one, then the YouTube channel, and here is the Facebook pages. And you have many different Facebook pages for athletes, for youngsters, for Youth Olympics, and et cetera, et cetera. So these are a few examples of the Olympic, what I call Olympic world. So to finish with, I would like to go back a few examples around the Vancouver Games. During these games, communication hubs was also relational devices and should be considered as relational devices and not only as devices for information. And I think I would say that now one of the most important things is to consider that within this landscape, the important thing is to contribute to the games through the messages. You can post videos and comments and so on. And contributions are delivered by many different people. Of course, we have spectators' stories, and these are individuals who are not socially or functionally located, but they are defined by their participation here and now to the event or to an event related to the game. You have also participations of course, athletes. Maybe we don't have the time to watch every example, but we can go back on this example after. For example, we have a special Twitter account for athletes, or on the Olympic hub, possibility for athletes to tell us how they experience the games, or so, any experience they have related to the Olympics. You can also contribute as a volunteer, and it was very interesting to explore all the resources, for example in Flickr, where I found a lot of albums which were created by volunteers during the games, and we will see maybe one of these albums after. You can also contribute it like a hockey fan or a fan, sport fan, and many amateurs of hockey were active during Vancouver Games. And all these contributions are based on personal experience. I was there, this is what I saw and what I felt. And when you analyze these fragments of reality, of course, you can understand the meaning, and they are sufficient in themselves to let a meaning emerge from their reading. But if you take them separately, they do not help you to understand fully how they contribute to the construction of the meaning of the event. You have to connect the one with the others to have this global idea. And I try to give this demonstration. Well, this is an example of many Soundwhite websites. You know Soundwhite, everybody knows. Yeah, I think the guy of the ski sportman. You know? No, you don't know Soundwhite?
Sean White,
Yeah. So I try to, skier. Yeah, snowboard. Yeah. So it's an example of Sean White presence on the web. He's everywhere. So this is a volunteer, some example of volunteers' contribution on Facebook and Flickr. And this is some fans on Facebook of Flickr and people in the city on the venues. You can experience the game in very different ways. Directly on the cities, I have the screen on the here, on the left part of the photo, on the venues, on the TV on the right. So that's not the point. This is the Alexandre Bilodeau gold medal example. If you go on YouTube, that's the official channel of the IOC, you have a video of the competition and the Alexandre Bilodeau contest. And it's very technical, and you can understand very well why he was the winner. But you don't understand really what was the impact of this event on the Canadian people. If you want to have an idea of that, you have to go on internet and try to find all the traces, testimonies of people. And some of them are really interesting. For instance, spectators on the venues have take videos with a mobile phone. It's very bad quality, but you're feeling the atmosphere on the venues. Downtown, you have a lot of videos and photos and so on. For instance, this one on Flickr is about the moment when Bilodeau won this medal. And with all these videos, you can take the measure of the echo of this medal and the emotion it caused in the country. You can, of course, feel the atmosphere on the venue during the competition and on the public space, like here. You capture the emotion, you capture the joy of spectators, and you have a good idea of what was happening. This is not only a gold medal, this is a real event. So when you include all the social dimension of the event, you can understand what is an information, a fact, that is, Bilodeau won the first gold medal in Canada. That's nothing for us in France, for instance. And how this fact is becoming an event. So it's only when you make the relation with all these different testimonies that you can have this global view. And this is a point, I think this point is important in terms of strategy of the Olympic movement and IOC. That is, not only focus on, let's say, institutional communication, corporate communication, top-down communication, but try to, through this video amateur, photos and so on, try to integrate these experiences to a global vision of the games. That is, have a better approach of its popular dimensions. And, so if you, we don't have time enough, but if you go to these Flickrs and video, you also have comments which are really interesting. And people with the comments say things like, I remember watching this live while I was eating dinner in Toronto. I get goosebumps every time I see this, go Canada, go, and so on. So it has also a great importance for the souvenir and for the building of a collective memory of the event. These are kind of traces that are really positive for that. And when you watch to this picture, video, text, comments on blogs and social media, you see a popular memory of the games. That this popular memory is taking shape with different views, sometimes controversial views, but also with the feeling of sharing the same experience. And from a communication media to another, affects and image circulate. They meet without forming very homogeneous whole, but the reader, the internet user, make the synthesis between all these documents. And I think that one of the most important things for the... Well, I selected a lot of examples of these popular aspects of the games, but I would like to go straight on the... because I think I finished my time. The main things now to consider from the IOC point of view is first to articulate media devices. I mean, there are many, many, many devices, but they are not correctly articulate the one with the others. So they must give coherence to this whole range of media. Connect, for instance, Twitter, Facebook, Flickr, and so on. Collect the different ways to experience the games, of course. And that is also connect short and medium term, the time of the institution, the time of the event. And connect the communities who are invested in the games for different reasons. The second point is to generate unity while maintaining diversity. So the position for the IOC could be a meta position. It could intervene at meta level. The idea is that it's impossible to have a unique device in which everybody goes. But if you develop a network strategy, you can match different things. And then the question is evolving. Do IOC have to, in priority, develop this kind of proposal to the Olympic movement? Is the priority, the preference has to be given to the structuring of the Olympic movement, or do they have to target efforts during the Games? For instance, ask different national Olympic committees to interconnect their own devices. Well, these are decisions that the IOC has to take, and considering the constitution of the intangible heritage of the Games and Olympic movement, they also have to collect some documents, and in particular those of social media contributions are important to work toward the construction of this intangible heritage of the Games. And to do that, they have to rely on groups and associations in order to strengthen the community. Athletes, of course, volunteers and youth are the main targets, I think, for this perspective. I would like just to give some perspective for researchers, because I think that we have to do now, what we have to do now is to try to find how all these people are connecting themselves. What kind of social links are established via the platforms, or these interpersonal relationships or reciprocal interest relationships. We should identify what are the relevant elements for communication. That is what is important in order to create identity and collective memory. We also have to make a kind of cartography of relationships, mapping the relations, give the trace of the interactions, make genealogy of relations between all these communities. And of course, identify opinion leaders and their position in the space of the web in order to be more efficient to define a communication strategy. Voila. So this is the end. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. So we have some time for some questions. So the floor is open.
Maybe after.
Space here, yes.
You mentioned the rise of the logic of individualization. Could you please talk a little a bit more about the structural transformation behind those process of individualization?
Well, I was talking about the idea is that the dominant model of constitution of community world is based on individualism. And we have a researcher in France whose name is Semprini, who described this through global TV. And he explained that in the media of globalization, individual is considered as the subject of history. And when we are talking about action, the mode of representation of the action is always individualized. So this is one aspect of individualization. You have to embody the actions. The other thing is that emotion is important in the way media communicates information. So it's embodied also in people. And then the point is that individualization appears as a condition of universalism in a way that one people can replace another one because they have the same emotion and they're first defined by their emotion and rather than their social identity or professional identity in these circumstances. It's really, I think, true. And the problem is with individualization is that with the web, the consumption of information is more individualized. I mean that information is addressed to people. You can set up your profile, and you can choose in the whole web the elements you want to listen more specifically. Of course, mainstream media are framing communication. You always see more or less the same thing in one channel and in the other. But finally, considering the IOC point of view, you don't have the same reception of the event with the web than with TV. I would like to refer to Diane and Kat's analysis of media events, coronation, etc., contest, and so on. One aspect was the suspension of social time. That is, a community was now involved in a way in the event because of TV. TV was a way to canalize attention and to organize the time. To focus on attention and to organize the time. Now with the web, there is a kind of percolation. I don't know if you use percolation. So the event is now percolating the social organization, and the time of the event is not the same with the web than with the TV. It's more individualized in a way. That is, you can go to watch TV, or you can catch the feature on TV, VOD, video on demand, and so on. So the problem is, how can the community be again unite around the event? I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes.
You were talking that on one side we have the IOC with its formal channels and control. On the other side you have many people involved, like the athletes or the spectators. Do you know that IOC is actually linking from its formal channels to these informal channels?
Yeah. Well, it's evolving very, very rapidly. 3 years ago, there was no connection at all. They began to establish connection with the Youth Olympic Games because they understood that it was really important to be in tune with the youngsters' social uses of ICTs. And they set up devices with the aim to create communities around the events. But the idea was to give your contribution within the device. The problem is now how to give a global vision with very different and heterogeneous components. And this is the point, I think, now that IOC has to, the IOC has to make decisions about that. And now they offered the athletes to express themselves on a special hub. And this is interesting because all the athletes have their own communication devices, websites, blogs, their account on Twitter and so on. But it's very, there is no unity in a way. And they create this special hub for athletes. So I think that now they are thinking about how to better canalize this contribution experiences and how to use it to enhance the communication. But it has to do.
I actually find this quite interesting because I've been analyzing FIFA as an organization and their
there's
social
a
media,
terrible organization.
leading up to the 2010 World Cup and comparing what you guys have done compared to what they did. I mean, there was no official Facebook page, Twitter page, anything, YouTube channel, and until to this date, they really don't have anything. So, and I actually saw a presentation yesterday about Cisco and their network that they developed, so it's kind of like generating their own news channel. So I was kind of curious about, from their Cisco's perspective, it was innovation, like they're an innovations company and sort of their news channel is another branch of innovation. But for you guys, since you're more similar to FIFA and the committee and the architecture, I was curious how you guys were able to push the envelope so much more. I mean, was it working with an agency that helped you guys really establish the social media, or is it something in the organization that you guys feel you're a little bit more open to having conversations online? So I was curious your perspective.
Well, I think they are pioneer in a way. If you compare IOC to, of course, FIFA or other international federation, they are pioneer. And I think this has to do with the educational mission of the game, the value, the need. Well, they have the mission to disseminate the value of Olympism, and the educational dimension is very important. So it's a good idea to begin with this dimension, because you can rely on organized community through clubs, through schools, through many different things, and maybe it's easier to set up devices for these categories of stakeholders or participants. And for FIFA, well, I'm surprised because they're very frileux, not very innovative in the communication, let's say.
Not to mention crooked.
Well,
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm not trying to take the.
no.
Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. I wanted to ask you mentioned the different media coverage like Le Monde and Canadian News. Do you expect in the future that there will be more official sites, like official pages on Dailymotion or some of the video sites that are more popular in Europe? Because sometimes it seems like these sites are more visited in France or in Europe compared to YouTube. And do you expect that the Olympic Committee will notice that and kind of reach this audience that's very large in Europe?
Well, in Europe, YouTube is very popular too. So I think they have a global strategy for the mainstream media, YouTube, of course. But I think that IOC can also, now negotiate the rights on a territorial basis, but multi-channel approach. Before it was sometimes a more large territorial area, but a mono-channel approach, TV then, and so they can adapt, I think, the communication channels according to the specificities of the areas. I suppose that in China they will not use Facebook. That's nonsense. So. In Europe, we don't have. Well, I think Facebook is the dominant one for
in
social
Europe,
media.
in the Western countries,
Facebook now is dominant,
Facebook. Yeah.
and
in China and Russia we have
their special
social networking
yeah,
websites. but in the Western
You agree with me, Emilio?
uh,
Twitter,
countries,
Facebook,
Europe,
and maybe, I don't know, YouTube, maybe YouTube too. So it's not really different.
Yes, last question.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the lecture. And I have been a volunteer worker both for FIFA and for the Special Olympics 2007. And after your lecture, because I know Olympics, they have the Olympic Games, Special Olympics, Paralympics. So is that kind of the application of social media, more useful for the Paralympics and Special Olympics, because these two events maybe have less popular attention at the current stage.
Well, I took these examples, but I should have taken the same for the normal Olympic Games. But I think maybe it's more easy to be innovative during the Youth Olympic Games than in the normal Olympic Games, because the financial dimension is maybe less important. So it gives more room for experimentation. But anyway, during the Olympics, you also have a platform of communication and then dedicated pages on Facebook, Twitter accounts, and so on. So it's not really different. The difference is maybe between the Youth Olympic Games, where they create community platforms. This was the first time they did it for Singapore Games. I don't know if they will continue in this way or not.
Okay, thank you again, Francois. Our next speaker is Emilia Pena from Autonomous University of Barcelona. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here with you. For me, it's a great honor to be here in the Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism. And I am representing. Let me stand by for the presentation.
Actually, I think she's going to mic you up so we get your report there.
Thank you very much. I am the director of a center devoted to the study of the Olympic phenomenon in Barcelona. The Autonomous University of Barcelona has founded the Center for Olympic Studies in 1989, before the Barcelona Olympics. And I'm going to talk. Where's my presentation is probably. Escape, yeah. And my presentation probably is Los Angeles lecture. Okay. And this is my presentation. I'm going to talk about social networking websites and the Olympic movement. This presentation is part of work we have developed in the Olympic Studies Center at the Autonomous University of Barcelona, commissioned by the International Olympic Committee. This report was presented to different directors, the director of marketing, communication, and different departments in the IOC last May. But I would like to start with the presentation of the different parts. First of all, I would like to start explaining different concepts, explaining the general context regarding the social media environment. And it is absolutely necessary when it comes to social media to talk about television too. Because the general environment, media environment regarding the Olympics is, in this environment, all is connected. We can not understand television like a part which is not connected with the rest of traditional media, And we cannot to understand social media without the necessary connection with traditional media. All must work as a whole. All is connected. Well, we are going to talk about how the Olympic family, the International Olympic Committee, the Vancouver Olympic Committee of the last Winter Olympics in Vancouver, has used social media, and then we will propose some recipes for the future, how to manage new media, because new media cannot be managed like traditional media. They have specificities, they have new languages, they are a new approach to the communication field. For that reasons, it's absolutely necessary to manage social media with a new philosophy. Well, media are the most important. If the Olympic Games are a global event, a global sporting event, it's because of media. Media and mainly television construct the image, the international image, the global image of the Olympic. At the same time, they are not only interpreters of the Olympics. They are the creators of the Olympic sport for the great majority of the people. Media construct the reality because all which is in media exists for the people, but which is not published, which is not telecasted, doesn't exist for the people. This is the reason why media construct one mega event like the Olympics. On the other hand, and at the same time, they are the architects of the value system which is related with the Olympics. All these positive values which are related with the sport. Positive values like solidarity, fair play, effort, and so on. And the media, overall television, international television, turns into a global event, what is really a local event. The Olympics are a local event. In 1984, the Los Angeles Olympic Games were a local event, which television became global. Well, the other main reason why the Olympics or media are important, overall television is important for the Olympics, is because apart from creating this reality, constructing this reality, they fund the Olympic. International televisions and overall the American NBC is the main source of income of the International Olympic family, of the International Olympic Committee. And 90% of all the revenues which get the International Olympic Committee came from communication directly or indirectly. The 50% of this income comes from international television. And this part of the cake comes in a 50% from American television. The NBC American television devote to the Olympics, for example, in Beijing, $9,000 million. The 50% of the total income for the international television came from the NBC, and the rest from the rest of the world. For example, the European television are the 25% of the total amount of money which the International Olympic Committee gets from television. And the rest, the 40%, comes from the sponsorship. And there are two main programs. There is the top program, which is an international sponsorship program, which is more or less the 25% of the total, and the national sponsorship programs. Well, another idea I would like to share with you today is that the idea of system. When we are talking about a system, we are talking about a complexity. A system is a number of elements in which all is interconnected, all is interdependent. We cannot talk about media and Olympics without thinking about media like a system, like a whole. And all the realities right now in our society are connected. Economy is a system. Ecology is a system. Communication is a system too. Well, I would like to point out some things about traditional media and new social media. I would like to center in two main things. On the one hand, we have television and the rest of traditional media here, and in this traditional environment, the audience is passive. The great flow of communication, the great communication flow comes from the creators, television, radio, newspapers, to the audience, which traditionally are a mass audience. But in new media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, but overall on Facebook and Twitter, we are talking about a direct relationship with the people. On Facebook, when we are an international institution like the International Olympic Committee, we can know, for example, the whole profile of the people. The International Olympic Committee, we are a fan of the IOC, for example. The IOC page on Facebook is the Olympics. The IOC can know, for example, which is our profile, which are our studies, which are our, we are fans from, for example, football club. We know we like the Beatles or Madonna, and so on. And this new relationship has advantages for the international institutions, but disadvantages, as we will see. In this environment, traditional media controls the communication flow. They produce the content, they send the content to the audience, and the audience cannot say anything, or almost anything. But here, the users, for the first time in the history of communication, can create content. If you have a Facebook page, somebody can say that what you are saying is not true, for example. Or somebody can create a Facebook page saying that the things that are the International Olympic Committee are wrong, or they are, say, telling lies, and so on. In this new environment, the traditional or international sporting organizations are not controlling the information flow. This will be the Olympic media environment. We have the IOC, which organizes the Olympics. Here we have the international television networks, which fund the Olympics. And we have here the top sponsors, among them Coca-Cola, General Electric, McDonald's. They are global companies which devote a great part of their income to the IOC. And the IOC shared that money with the international sporting federations and the national Olympic committees. But traditional media and overall, mainly television, construct the reality of the games. They create the international image of the game. They turn local event into global. But at the same time, we have the other media. We have radio, we have newspapers, but we have new media too. Twitter, Facebook, the TV news. TV news makes a reference to that television networks that don't have the TV rights to deliver the Olympics. And here we have the audiences. This is the audience, the general audience for the Beijing Olympic Games. And this is the audience for the Beijing Olympic Games in NBC, for the American market. Well, this is a system too. This is a system in which all is interrelated. This is a system in which, for example, television give the global spectacle to the audiences. The audiences pay to the international television with their attention. They pay with attention. In the case of open television, they pay with money in the case of paid television. And it is important, the audiences are important too for the top sponsors, because with the attention to the television, the audience are able to see the presence of McDonald's, General Electric, Coca-Cola, and the rest of the top sponsors. The main constructions of the reality of the games comes from television, but there is a circuit of redundancy in which traditional media are important, and new media produce a sort of feedback with traditional, with television and the rest of the media. Well, which are the main kind of interactions in social media? So, the main goal in social media is a key word that is engagement. Engagement is the main aspiration of the creators of the administrator of Facebook International Olympic Committee presence, of the Twitter International Olympic Committee presence, and so on. And there is a gradation. There is different stages when it comes to the participation of the public in Facebook and Twitter. We have, in the first time, we have less engagement when we click like to a publication of the IOC, a publication of the Olympics. There is more engagement when we add a comment, when we write something to a photo, for example, that the Olympics, that the IOC publish. And the major degree of engagement will be that the user-generated content. For example, somebody took a photo in the stadium and published it in the Facebook page of the IOC. This will be the major degree of engagement that we will see that is the most interesting part for the International Sporting Organization, for the IOC. Well, we have the global leaders on sport social media. You can see, like, for example, we have the NBA like institution, and we have the Los Angeles Lakers, but the other three are European clubs of soccer. The Football Club Barcelona, the football club from my city. I am You can imagine a Football Club Barcelona supporter, the best football club in the world. And Real Madrid, which is very good too, from Spain too, and Manchester United. They are global football clubs. Yeah. They are so global like Los Angeles Lakers and Pau Gasol. You know Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol is from my city too. We are very proud and we share many things. We have many things in common, you say? You see? Well, and what happened when it comes the relationship between traditional web page on the one hand and social media on the other hand? Well, traditional websites, you can think of the IOC, International Olympic Committee web page, are static content in a certain way. Nobody, apart from me, I am the director of a center for the study of Olympics, and I visit every week 2 or 3 times the IOC webpage, but people who are not especially involved in these issues never is going to visit that webpage. But in the webpage, we have the great majority of the content, the videos, the tests, the photos regarding the history of the Olympics, or the current Olympics, or the next Olympics, the London Olympics, and is the main repository of content, is a store of content in which all is available about the Olympics. So if I were an international sporting institution like the IOC, my interest will be that everybody will visit my webpage. But nobody do it. Or nobody, or people especially interested in it like me or like you. On the other hand, we have the Facebook and the Twitter pages. And how many people are on Facebook? 700 million perhaps, or so on? Or? You are? Yes. 35. All of you probably, or 90% of the people in this room is on Facebook. Me too. And the important in this sense for international sporting institutions, for the IOC, is they have to go with its message where the people are. People are on Facebook. People with special interest in Olympics, and people who are especially interested in the Olympics. So international institutions, Los Angeles Lakers, the IOC, the London Organizing Committee of the Olympic Games have to be on Facebook and Twitter. Because this is a more dynamic environment. And on Facebook, there is one thing, and Twitter too, which is called the 3 degrees rule, and that means that you can influence, not only directly, the people who are connected with you, who are your friends, who are your followers, but people who are the friends of your friends. And this is one possibility that international sporting organizations have to take advantage of. What has happened during the last Olympic on Vancouver? During Vancouver Olympics, the IOC and the organizing committee of the Vancouver Olympic Games presented 1 month before the Olympics their presence on Facebook and Twitter, and they demonstrated a great capacity of growth. They got 1 million and a little bit more, 1 million.1 followers and friends on Twitter and Facebook in only 2 weeks. They demonstrated a great capacity to growth. Why? Because social networking websites don't work like an IELTS presence, but they are connected, as I have told in the start of my presentation, with traditional media. And the global event, which was created by television, encouraged the people to make friends on Facebook of IOC and the Vancouver Olympic Committee of the Olympic Games. This is another idea about the need for creating a system between the different presences of the IOC on the web. Here we have the web page, which in an ideal situation, this is not the ideal situation, must be connected with the rest of the IOC presences on the web, with the Facebook page, with the Twitter page, with the YouTube channel, with the results of a search on Google too. And this will be the ideal situation in which the followers of the IOC on Facebook will visit the web page thanks to the publication that the IOC will publish on Twitter or on Facebook, encourage them to visit the web page where it is the great majority of the content, the most important, and is a store of the content, the most important in the world about the Olympic, the results, about videos, about the history of the Olympics, about values, about Olympic education, and so on. And this is part of our research, our work we have made commissioned by the IOC, and it shows one thing which is very interesting. The participation of the public is very poor. The great majority of the behaviors of participation on Facebook is like. This is not enough. This is not enough. This is the most comfortable, the most easy to do, to press like on Facebook. But people, we are losing the opportunity that people tell us, like international sporting institution, what can we do to improve the Olympics? We have losing the opportunity to ask the public how to improve our service, how to achieve better to the people, to the young people, how to have a better image, international image between the people, and so on. And this is a brief of the main findings. The most important for the people is sport. Facebook and Twitter was used for many different things which are not related with the sport. Among them, for example, the touristic promotion of the country. But the most important for the people on Facebook and Twitter too are sport. And the main participation of the people during the Vancouver Olympic Games was related with the celebration of the victories, with the things which are regarding the competition, with the effort of the athletes, with things which are closely related with the sport and with the Olympics. We can see how the last days of the Olympics, we can see a great behavior growth in the participation behavior of the Facebook and Twitter followers and friends. And this is related with the celebration of the victory and these things I have mentioned it before. Yeah, and with the Canada, and with the Canada in particular, the Canada, yeah. And these are the main topics regarding the subjects of the peaks which were published during the Olympics. The main of the peaks were published regarding the list of the winter from different contests, and we have almost 20% devoted to the promotion of the country, and this is not interesting for the people. But this is the most important thing I would like to highlight regarding this issue, is that Facebook and Twitter was used during the Vancouver Olympics like a traditional media. IOC used Facebook to inform in a one direction, one flow of information which came from the producer of the information, the IOC, to the people, without taking advantage of the participation of the public. Facebook and Twitter have special characteristics which permits that we can use the opinion of the people, the publication of the people, and the capacity of dissemination that the people has among their friends. And they lost this opportunity because they interpret the new role of new media, the new role of Facebook and Twitter, like a traditional media. Well, they face an important problem that conditionate the way they behave, the way they communicate throughout Facebook and Twitter. And this is the problem of audiovisual right, the problem of TV rights. TV rights are the main sort of income for the IOC, and they have to protect it. It is absolutely important to protect it, and they don't want to jeopardize these TV rights for which the NBC has paid $900 for the Beijing Olympics, for example, and they don't publish audiovisual information on Facebook. For one reason mainly, because on Facebook, contrary to YouTube, when you publish a video, for example, you are publishing a video for the whole world. You cannot publish a video only on Facebook for the American market only, or for the Spanish market, or for Mexico market. Facebook has not this possibility that YouTube has. When you publish a video on YouTube for a special agreement that the IOC has with YouTube, you can permit to watch this video only for the South African market only, in order to not jeopardize the TV rights that the NBC has bought, and so on. And this is the main problem. But this main problem is not a positive thing, because video is a great opportunity to engage the people, to interact with the people, to attract the attention of the people. We have here some things about the Twitter strategy, the main topics, and Twitter, at the same time, exactly the same like Facebook, was used like a telegraph, not like a new media in which you can to take advantage of the possibility that people retweet your messages. This is for one direction without feedback information. Information results, Olympic ambience. The second one, information about stadiums, information about tickets, the country promotion, links to videos. Only two videos were published during the Vancouver Olympics on Facebook, on Twitter too, link to photos, and so on. This is a use that didn't take advantage of the possibility that the people who were following the Olympic Games on Twitter retweet, resend this information to their friend, and they lost the opportunity to disseminate the values of the Olympics, the positive values of the sport, and so on. Let me, please, have I 10 minutes? 3 minutes, oh, 3 minutes. Okay, the point is, which will be the new social media policy? Yeah? For example, very quickly, if you are interested in my presentation, I can send it to you. You have my email, I think, in the start of my presentation. Please, I can send it to you. There are companies that are creating a really innovative policy of publishing, policy of communication on Facebook and Twitter, like Coca-Cola and Starbucks. In this new way of interpreting the role of social media, the users are the more important thing. They create the web page, they create the Facebook page, they create the Twitter page, and they are considered like a treasure for Facebook and for Coca-Cola and Starbucks. There are somebody answering the questions, there are somebody thanking the following and or the friendship, and so on. But traditional sporting institutions are not in this new idea. They are using the IOC, the FIFA, the Football Club Barcelona, the NBA, are using social media in the traditional way. And what was my proposal? What was our proposal for the IOC? The traditional web page is static content, as I have explained. We can use Facebook and Twitter to create a dynamic content which drive traffic from Facebook and Twitter to the web page, which is the most important presence of the IOC on the internet, in which all is available, absolutely all is available about the Olympics. This is a new idea which is called cross-pollination, in which, but the IOC has to create new content. They have to create videos, because video on Facebook is very important, video on Twitter is important. They have to protect the TV rights which the international television networks have bought, and they have paid a lot of money for them. But for that reasons, they have to create specific videos, new videos, for being disseminated, from being broadcast through Facebook and Twitter. And they have to create a content with a new register of communication. The new register of communication must be more close to the people. There must be a friendly way of communication. A way of communication that says to the people that you are important for my institution. And well, this is the point. This is the point. This is the new idea with a new corporate social media policy with new blogs. The IOC has no blogs. The way of communication blogs is more close to the people. The language is more simple, more direct to the people, and they have to adopt this new register of communication. And they have to coordinate the different presences on Facebook and Twitter, the different strategies on Facebook and Twitter and on the internet in general, with the top sponsors, with the TV right holders, and with the organizing committee. And this is all. Thank you very much for your attention.
We have a few minutes for any questions for the presenter. Yes.
Do you know how many people work in the communication department of the IOC?
Approximately 50 people. 50 people. They don't have enough resources in order to fulfill all the challenges they have when it comes to social media. They have to devote more economic resources to this issue because Coca-Cola, Starbucks, and the more innovative companies regarding social media are devoting a lot of money, a lot of resources to this issue. And they have to change their idea regarding social media, without any doubt. They don't have enough enough people in order to develop appropriate policy on social media.
Yes.
You meant the number of people is one limiting factor. Technology, the copyright that NBC has is another limiting factor.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm wondering whether there is also a limiting factor in the culture of the IOC.
Absolutely.
Because it is not rocket science to know what Coca-Cola and Starbucks and half the world know about social media. So it sounds as though it's not simply a financial or a copyright issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. The point is that the social media in particular, and Facebook and Twitter, is a challenge for traditional sporting institutions and for traditional companies. They have threats in a certain way because traditional companies, traditional organizations cannot control all the flow of communication. Somebody can publish something on Facebook, on Twitter, with pieces of criticism about my service, for example. But the dangers are less than the possibilities to connect with the people and to get that people be an advocate of our cause. This is the point. But traditional institutions like the IOC have an idea of new media like a threat and not like an opportunity. And this is the main point, as you have mentioned it, without any doubt.
We can do one more quick question. Sorry, a very quick answer.
Okay, so you talked about traditional broadcasters controlling the reality of the game, announcing the reality of the game, and it's like a controlled image rather than dreamt image of the games. Don't you think that through social media networks, it's going to be out of control for the IOC?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a culture, and a special culture, in this international institution, which is one of the keys, probably, of its international success. And it's a culture which is relatively recent, and is the absolutely necessity for controlling it all. The absolute necessity for controlling it all. And with social media, they feel absolutely insecure in this sense. But the opportunities with social media, I tried to express it to the head of marketing, to the head of communication of the institution, are much more important than the threats with social media. Because you have to take advantage of what the people can tell you about how to improve the service, how to improve the international image, how to achieve to the people, how to get to the people, how to disseminate the Olympic values, how to educate in positive values to young people, and so on. But I am sure that these things will change, and very quickly.
Thank you very much.